is finally over.
Good morning. This is gonna be another update on my Spark Stormweaver Sorceress build. I just updated the guide on Mobalytics as well, so I decided to make a quick video again to update everything that has happened on the character, what has happened to now make our Spark tooltip at 70k DPS. So I will start with the gear. Wand, pretty much a very big upgrade from what the last wand was. It is now 70% increased spell damage, increased lightning damage, some mana as well, +4 to level of all lightning spell skills, 18% increased cast speed, and int. This is pretty much the stats you want on your wand. There is definitely a little bit more room to grow. Could be +5 level of all lightning spell skills. There is a possibility for more mana as well, but this is already a very nice endgame version of a wand you can be using. I think the helmet still is the same. I found this, or I crafted this pretty early on, I think, and yeah, it's still very good. Especially with the rarity now, I haven't mentioned it before, but we are at a 70k tooltip of Spark, but we also have almost 160 MF plus 20 of the charm, so 180. I have another setup going right now when I am basically just mapping or doing breaches or clearing maps, T15 maps, T16 maps and stuff. I have another setup going with a few different rings that give me around, I think, 200 raw MF with losing around 10k DPS on Spark. So 60k DPS on Spark and around 200 raw MF. Unfortunately, right now, I feel like it is pretty much mandatory to use rarity or to use MF. Yeah. In my opinion, it's not good for the game because I feel like a lot of people are being pushed into using a lot of rarity and it further decreases build variety and stuff. So yeah, but that might be a discussion for another day. And I'm pretty sure after New Year's, a lot of things will change. Let's see. But for now, I am using a lot of rarity right now. I have pretty much every gear piece that can have rarity. I am using it. Yeah. So, amulet's still the same. Pretty much perfectly rolled everlasting gaze. Very good still. I did change the allocation though. I changed it from adverse growth for a little bit more tankiness to now allocates desensitization. If I look on the passive tree here, this is the node. It says increased critical damage bonus and hits against you have 25% reduced critical damage bonus. This is a very good node. I've seen a lot of people use it as well. I might spec into it as well at some point, but for now I just chose to allocate it to my amulet because it's just a very good node. It has a DPS increase and it also makes you a little bit more tanky to some of the one-shot critical hits from monsters. So, new rings as well. Both of them have rarity, of course. Both of them have increased lightning damage, 26%. Both of them have a lot of maximum mana and some cast speed. This ring has also triple res, so very good as well. And this one has cold res as well, some cast speed as well, and some int. I didn't mention it before as well. Res is also kept. Even a little bit too much cold res here. We can fix that at a later point as well. A little bit over on cold res, but res is kept as well. We are also at 5.1k energy shield and roughly 5k mana. So gloves, I think, are still the same. Pretty nice gloves. Ingenuity, I think I mentioned it in the last build video as well. Ingenuity is just, yeah, one of the best items in the game right now. It is. I didn't have the balls so far to corrupt it. I'm very scared. It has rolled 71%, so it is 9% from being perfect. I'm probably never gonna corrupt this. I'm no, I'm too scared. Boots changed a little bit. I had pretty much the same boots before, but now these boots have 27% increased rarity with 25% movement speed. I had 30 before, but yeah, as I told you before, rarity is just too good at the moment to pass up. Again, on the weapon switch, of course, the chiming staff for the Sigil of Power again. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the gear. This is an absolute endgame version. I get that a lot of people are not gonna be able to acquire this kind of gear in the time that I did in the past 2 weeks, I think. So I absolutely get it. In general, I think on YouTube, especially in the Path of Exile community, there's a big problem, in my opinion, that most of build guides that are on YouTube, because they look cool, you can make clickbaity titles with one-shot bosses and stuff. But most of the builds I see on YouTube when I see through it, they are not really attainable for the casual player. So the next video I will be doing for this character, probably tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow, is gonna be a budget guide for this build as well. I will pretty much be playing the same passive tree, but I will limit myself to, I think, I will talk to some people what they consider budget, but I would say I will limit the whole gear to like 25x. And then I will make a video on it, just doing it on a budget and then showcasing how you can do this build with much less currency and just get going and just starting to clear T15 maps to start get divine orbs and then slowly upgrading it to at some point reach this kind of gear. So that was me blabbling about the gear. Skill gems pretty much stayed the same on the regarding the last video. They are on Mobalytics as well, so you can check them there. But yeah, 70k Spark Tooltip, Elemental Storm still the same skill gems. Spark still has the same skill gems. I know I don't have the perfect Jeweler's Orb yet. I didn't put the 5th slot in there so far. There are a few options for this. These 4, in my opinions, are pretty much mandatory. There is an option for the 5th one to be Mobility or to be Unleash. In my opinion, it wasn't worth for me investing in the Jeweler's Orb so far, because the 5th option for Spark is not as important yet, in my opinion. Also, another thing is I'm also a little bit scared to spend 300x or 3 Divine Orbs on a perfect Jeweler's Orb right now for my Spark, and then when GGG comes back from holiday, they will nerf Spark into the ground and I look like a fucking idiot. So yeah, it stays like this for now. Orb of Storm is still the same. You can all check them on Mobalytics as well. Mana Tempest, Archmage, Conductivity. So this is the skill gems. Of course, yeah, quality. Don't forget quality on all the skill gems when you're doing it. I've seen a lot of people ask the question to me, oh, I have the same level, I have the same skill gems, I have my gear is like this, but my damage isn't as low, or my Spark doesn't look like yours when casting, or isn't as fast, or doesn't do as many projectiles. Yeah, quality. Never forget quality. Okay, next thing, passive tree. Most of the stuff stayed the same. I updated it on Mobalytics as well. What changed a little bit is what I am doing right now. This is pretty much the boss way of doing it when I am mapping. So for bosses, I go here for the increased critical hit chance to get more single target damage. But what I do for mapping sometimes, when I say, okay, for the next 3 hours, I will just be doing breaches or something, I spec into these 3 nodes as well. 6% for lightning skills to chain additional time. This works for Spark. I don't know if it will in the future, but it does work for Spark. I know Spark doesn't say on the tooltip that it chains or that it fires an additional chain or something, but this works for Spark. So for clearing, and especially for doing breaches or doing large amount of mobs, this is very, very good. And I mostly just despec those and go into these. But for bosses, I don't really need a chain. So this is pretty much the single target DPS setup. The way the passive tree is right now is also a way of getting pretty much the max amount of jewels. So yes, I will go over the jewels in a minute. But yeah, the one thing I said before, this one I would like to go in next pretty much, so I can deallocate the this node from my amulet and at some point go for the lucky anoint, which is extremely expensive right now, but it's pretty much the best in slot anointment for your amulet. I will just show it to you right now. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Stars aligned. No, it's this one. This one. Lightning damage with non-critical hits is lucky. So you can see Distilled Emotion, Suffering, Isolation, Isolation. I think this is around like 30 divines or something. So far. Right now, I'm not going to do it. But yeah. These nodes will be the next ones as soon as I reach the next few levels. I am level 92 right now, almost 93. So yeah, this is going to be the next point of contention. Okay, jewels is always going to be pretty much the same. Let me just check some. Yeah, increased spell damage, increased critical hit chance. I have on this one, I have mana regeneration rate. It's nice to have at sometimes. And increased elemental damage. Increased spell damage, increased critical, and increased elemental damage is just always going to be the way for you to get more DPS and just to get more Spark Tooltip. These three nodes and critical damage bonus as well. Always going to be a very good way to just massively increase your DPS with just one jewel. Also, yeah, you can see here as well, increased spell damage, increased critical hit chance, then increased critical hit chance for spells as well, and then increased elemental damage. This jewel is pretty much the DPS jewel that you want. Also, which is nice, of course, here again, increased mana regeneration rate, again, elemental damage, critical damage bonus in this time, and critical, not critical hit chance, increased spell damage again. On some of them, I should have as well, yeah, increased maximum energy shield. These ones are not as good, but they at least have energy shield. And this one has mana again. Yeah, a few jewels of mine can still be definitely better. So also nice to have, as I said, these DPS nodes, but also increased maximum energy shield is also very, very nice to have because you can see here, this one has 20%. If I take it off, yeah, it's this jewel alone is 200 energy shield. Okay, so you can check the passive tree again on the Mobalytics. I have for the cheaper starter version on Mobalytics, it is a different passive tree, not using Eldritch Battery, not using Chaos and Inoculation and Mind Over Matter. And so if you're just starting out, I don't recommend using this exact passive tree just to copy it, because using Mind Over Matter, using Chaos Inoculation and Eldritch Battery requires having this here. At least Eldritch Battery requires the Everlasting Gaze, Mind Over Matter requires being very, very tanky, having a lot of energy shield and a lot of mana, and Chaos Inoculation pretty much the same. Yeah, so check out the early starter version on the Mobalytics guide. I will update it a little bit more, and as I said before, I will in the next 2 days or something, I will do another video on a budget version for this exact build. So you can, when you start off, you can just follow this a little bit. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions regarding the build now, if you have questions what is going to be happening maybe in the future, or you have some tips for me as well, something I forgot, please mention it in the comments. I always try to be very concise, to be very fast to the point. And yeah, if you like this kind of video, maybe come back at some point, check out the stream. Yeah, have a good day. The year is almost over. Have a good New Year's. See you next year. Bye bye.